everybody. Welcome to another episode. So, today we are talking about money because the number one source of stress for many people, and actually one of the top reasons for divorce, is your relationship is not your relationship with money, is money, right? Is money issues. Like, think about in your relationship, do a lot of fights happen because of money? Like, to me, that is something worth working on. To me, it is essential that you heal your relationship with money. We can often underestimate what a profound effect that would have in our lives, but just know that healing your relationship with money has a profound impact, not just on then money for yourself and like having less fights about money in your relationship, but it actually weaves itself into other areas of your life as well. And obviously, it's really good for your adrenals. Now, if you haven't joined her, that would be a really great thing for you to be joining if you are wanting to up-level every area of your life. This program is really going to be beneficial for those of you that have done a lot of healing work on different areas. Could be money, could be sex, could be feminine energy. Maybe you've done Queen Alchemy or you've done some other somatic healing and you just really want the next level. You want to just be given the tangible tools and modalities and all the goods and just to be able to absorb it and then go and do it. That is this program, Her. For those of you that haven't done any healing work and you are really struggling with other things in your life, like money or your relationship with food or your relationship even, then I wouldn't actually join Her. You're going to get more out of Her if you have done more of those foundational things first, like Queen Alchemy or my immersion, or maybe you've done, Be a Lover, Not a Mother, or my gut and skin healing masterclasses, those sorts of things. So nonetheless, as usual, always just feel free to send an email to Olivia, and you can kind of share what's happening in your life, share your case, and then she's going to be able to guide you best as to whether Her would actually be a really great fit for you or whether something else would be better for you to do first. Okay. So back to money. We are thinking about it. We are engaging it. We are using it. We are having a relationship with it every single day. And I don't know about you, but I do not like to feel stressed every time I am using my credit card. Now, for those of you that don't know, I used to have a very fucked up relationship with money. To kind of keep it short and quick, my relationship with money was one where I would hold onto it so tightly. I had such a scarcity mindset to the point where I wouldn't even buy myself breakfast food at the supermarket because it was cheaper to not eat breakfast and to just have a bulletproof coffee and then eat lunch. So my relationship with money was obviously given to me via my blueprint from my parents, and they didn't know any better. They did the best that they could. But I grew up with a lot of scarcity. Now, I also grew up in a very well-off situation. I went to a great school. There was always a roof over my head, plenty of food on the table. Money wasn't an issue, but I was fed the programming that money was something that you don't just spend. It was hold on tight, right? And so my dad is the one that made majority of the money for our family because my beautiful mom was raising us and she also was doing her interior design business on the side. But my dad was the main provider of the family. And he is the youngest of four brothers. And he grew up in a situation that maybe is familiar for a lot of your parents. Not a lot of money, right? He is all self-built and he grew up wearing the hand-me-down clothes of all of his brothers, which were always too big. His parents lost a lot of money when they were living in England, and then they moved to Australia. They came on a boat to Australia, and then the rest is history. But my dad had to build this life for himself, and obviously then he gave me amazing things as a result of that, obviously one being education. And one of the things that he also, of course, passed down is his relationship with money. And his relationship with money makes perfect sense. All of our relationships with money make perfect sense, right? Your relationship with money always makes sense with not just how money was spoken about, but also it makes sense in regards to your self-worth and how you see the world. So I was very much fed the programming that I want a lot of money, but I don't want to spend any money. So it was like hoarding, essentially. So that's what I used to be like. Then I got into this work of healing my relationship with money because it was so fucking bad that I had to do something about it, because it literally got to the point where I wasn't allowing myself to eat breakfast because it was cheaper. Like, that is fucked up, to not buy myself breakfast because it was cheaper. Now what my relationship with money is like, well, it's obviously vastly different. I could go on this for ages, but I really see the value in things. Like, for example, I now see the value in paying the extra money to buy really healthy produce, which I will always be like, why does it cost extra to eat really fucking clean food? But that is the way the world works these days. And actually, if you really do the maths, it doesn't actually cost more to eat healthy than like go to McDonald's. But I'm talking about food that is a lot more expensive because I'm really buying them. I'm being like fucking anal about the meat that we're buying, that kind of thing. Point is that I'm able to really value things and not just see the cash dollar of things. So for example, I choose for us to fly first class, and I want to pay that because I value being able to sleep 8 hours on the plane, and wake up feeling refreshed. I know everybody can't do that, but obviously once you get to a point where you can do that, you still have to choose to value that, because a lot of people can actually have the money for that, but they might not value that. Now, you don't have to value that, right? This is a totally personal preference, but I have now been able to use my money to bring more goodness into my life, right? I spend freely. I receive freely. I'm not like gripping onto it so tightly. I know that money will always flow back in. Like when I bought this house that we lived in, I literally drained my whole account because I had to give a very high down payment because I'm not a US citizen, and there was like a whole pile of other things. I had to do, I think it was 25% or 30% down payment. It was basically my whole entire bank account, essentially. So I drained my whole bank account when I paid the money. It felt so expansive though to be paying. So it was like $500,000 or something. It felt so expansive to be paying about $500,000 or maybe a little bit more dollars, just handing it over. And whilst it was kind of scary to then see a much smaller amount in my bank account, it also was kind of fun in a weird way, right? It felt like such a new level. I was breaking a massive glass ceiling. Now, I could never have done that 8 years ago, but I'm able to do this now because I've fully reprogrammed what my money blueprint is. So because I now have a new money blueprint, my threshold means that I will bounce back up to what my bank account had pre-buying the house very, very quickly. And we've been living in this house for a year and a bit, and my bank account isn't just back to where it was. It's about double than what it was previously, right? So my relationship with money now is one where I'm not stressed about it. I do not limit myself in any capacity because of money, but I still respect money. And so what's really important to understand and know is that you might spend freely. And so then you think, oh, well, I have a good relationship with money because I always allow myself to buy everything. But are you respecting your money? Because maybe you're actually overspending, right? Maybe you actually have an addiction to spending money because you don't feel safe holding money. Now, even if you have a great relationship with money and you've already done a pile of work on your relationship with money, amazing. This episode then will be a great check, right? It's kind of like you're just checking internally, and you can use it for where you're at now with money and where you want to go. So everything that I'm sharing, I still use to this day when I'm wanting to break a ceiling with money and attract more in and hold my next level of wealth. I have such exciting news. One of my favorite programs, I know I say that for every program, but this really is also one of my favorites. I mean, they're all my favorite. One of my favorite programs, Her, is coming back. But this year, as a sneak peek of the program and something to get you guys really excited about it, I am offering a free masterclass as the first step before my program, Her. So my free masterclass is called Becoming Her, and it will be all about really stepping into feminine leadership. We will be transforming from a burnt out, stressed woman who does not have time to do the things that she loves to a very very confident woman who has the best sex life, maintains very solid health, sleep, vitality, and most importantly, feeling like she can actually enjoy life and knowing that this beautiful energy is radiating off her. So, whether you are a businesswoman, a mom, a career woman, a wife, finding yourself, it doesn't matter. This program is literally for everyone. This masterclass, I should say, is literally for everyone. And this masterclass is actually the pre-work if you decide to do my program, Her. So even if you're already like, I'm joining Her no matter what, still come to the free masterclass because it's actually your pre-work anyway. So all you need to do to take that first step in becoming Her is to click the link that is in the description of like the show notes of the podcast, and you'll be able to sign up for the masterclass. If you've listened to this and the masterclass has already passed, like the live version's already passed, as long as you get in before the cutoff date, you will still be able to watch the replay, of course. Okay, let's jump back into the episode. So first thing, when you think about money, how do you feel? Just as you're thinking about money right now, how do you feel? Now, when you make money and it comes into your account, what do you think, feel, and or do? And then my last question for you is, how do you feel about other people that have more money than you? I like to ask myself these questions whenever I'm wanting to break through my next glass ceiling, because no matter whether you've done a bunch of healing work around money, no matter whether you have a good relationship with money already, when you're wanting to get to a next level, it requires a different version of yourself. It requires you to relate to money in actually a new way. So it's really nice to come back to some of those basic things in terms of your current relationship with money, in terms of the amount of money that you currently have, to then break through to the next level of wealth and through that glass ceiling to then call in more money. So your decisions are everything. You can literally change your energy in this moment by simply changing your decision. And when I say this, I mean like internally in your mind, what have you decided to think about money? What have you decided to believe today? How have you decided to show up? What can you decide right now to start to feel about money? Just right now, what can you decide? Like, I am going to decide that money comes into me so fucking easily, no matter what I'm doing, no matter how I'm feeling. So for example, I decided for myself a long time ago that I didn't have to feel high vibe in order for money to come in. And you know what I fucking love when this happens is like me and my fiance will be mid argument or like tiff or just like, I am pissed for whatever thing, whether it's something he's done or whether it's something else. Like this happened like literally the other week. I was so angry about something. It wasn't in regards to him. I was so angry about something. And in my like burst of anger and I was telling him about it and blah, 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 I literally had a payment come through. Like my Stripe popped up on my phone and it was a payment. And I'm like, whenever that happens, I'm like, lol, that decision clearly fucking worked. I anchored that into my energy. I decided this is how money works for me. I decided this is how this energy is going to relate to me, and therefore it happens. So what can you decide to start to feel about money? How can you decide to start to think and engage about money? I kind of said this before, but worthiness is also very wrapped up with money and how we allow ourselves or don't allow ourselves to spend it. So if you are not feeling worthy to have money, to hold money, to be wealthy, to make money, to get a pay rise, blah, 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 then why would you have it? If you don't feel worthy of wearing nice clothes, of going on holidays, of, feeling supported, of being able to pay for extra help, if you do not feel deserving of those things, but that's what you want to spend your money on, you're not going to attract it in. So knowing what you want to spend your money on can help attract money in because it has a purpose and money likes that. So knowing what you want to spend your money on is important. But then the key thing is like, do you feel deserving of spending your money on that? Do you feel worthy of that being the reason why you want more money? A couple of things to look at are in regards to the worthiness and just kind of more of that trauma side of money, because a lot of people might talk about money mindset, but money trauma is a whole different game, right? Money trauma is trauma, obviously, around money, and mindset work around money isn't going to cut it because the trauma isn't actually about the money itself. The trauma is about you feeling unsafe in a situation and money was involved in that situation. And you basically made a decision for yourself in that moment that, I never want to have money because if I have money, XYZ is going to happen to me. So you might feel unsafe holding money or unsafe having more money or unsafe receiving money. Or maybe you're anxiously holding on to it because you're afraid of it disappearing or you're afraid of someone else taking it. And therefore you just stop attracting it in because you don't want the money. Because if you have money, people will take it. Maybe you are afraid, you have a fear of what people will think if you have more money. You're worried about them judging you or rejecting you, etc. Or you just think money is greedy for whatever reasons. So in regards to the unsafe holding this is a really under talked about that was really good English, Monica. This is not talked about a lot, is the safety of actually holding money or having more of it. If you grew up in an environment where money was used for really bad things, let's say, for example, you grew up in an environment where money was used to buy alcohol and drugs, do you think that provided safety around having money? No. So you could be feeling unsafe holding money because if you hold money, bad things will happen. If you have money, bad things will happen. If you receive money or if you have too much, bad things will happen. If you have more than what you need, that could be used against you. There are so many different reasons as to why your body could feel unsafe in having more money. If money was something that was fought about a lot, you could have a very anxious attachment with money because you always felt super anxious and stressed when your parents were fighting about money. You might bring up really negative money trauma into your relationship, not because you're trying to cause a problem, but you're actually trying to keep the two of you in love. And you grew up in an environment where you saw money make your parents hate each other. So you're like, I don't want money because money causes people to hate each other. So you literally could be blocking yourself somatically from having more money, but consciously you're like, but Monica, I want more money. Like, you're listening to this podcast, you want more money coming in. You would like greater levels of wealth. But the reason why you're not attracting it in isn't necessarily because you consciously don't want it. But I'm telling you right now, there's probably a reason unconsciously, viscerally, somatically in your body why you don't want it. So, why do you not want money? That's actually a really powerful question to ask yourself. Why do you not want to attract more money in? And just think about, how else does this relationship that you have with money show up in your life? So let's say, for example, going back to unsafe holding it. If the example is, I feel really unsafe holding money, this could be showing up as chronic overspending or like being a bit of a shopaholic, right? Whenever you get a paycheck that comes in, that day you're paying your bills, you're going out shopping, you always have something that you need to spend your money on, basically. And you might be like, I'm not even buying new shoes. It just is that the money comes in and all of a sudden my bank account is back where it was before. Like, I don't understand. I'm never able to hold more money. I'm never able to have more money. It's because you don't want to for some reason. There is a reason why you actually don't want your bank account to grow. Now, this could also be showing up in your relationship with food. Do you allow yourself to cook heaps, not eat it all, and put some in the fridge? Or do you cook maybe exactly what you need and never any more? Or even if you cook a little bit extra, you're always eating it. You never actually allow your body to feel safe in packing some up and leaving some for tomorrow. Now, this could be because you didn't feel like there was enough food in the house growing up. And so now as an adult, you will make sure you always eat all the food that you can see and you won't leave any leftovers because you're afraid of it just disappearing the next morning when you open the fridge. This actually is a really common thing that can happen, not because your parents didn't have enough money to put food on the table. It can be because of siblings. So if there was enough examples in your childhood where you were hungry, but your siblings ate the rest of the dinner, that can, and like, for whatever reason, your mom didn't cook anymore, or she was tired, or she was out, and the babysitter this is what your mom had made previously for dinner. So the babysitter was like, I don't have anything else for dinner. That could then cause you to feel like there's never enough food. So you don't just feel safe having the food sitting there and enjoying it tomorrow. You got to eat it all. Whilst you can see it, eat it. Because if you don't eat it, somebody else could eat it. You might feel unsafe in receiving money because if you are receiving attention, bad things happen. That could be a result of you having bad things happen when you were younger from being seen. So if you don't want to be seen for whatever reason, that can then cause you to limit your flow of abundance coming in and wealth coming in because you don't feel safe feel safe receiving that money and like being seen as a more abundant, wealthy version of yourself. You don't have to tell people how much money you have, but of course, you know, and that can make you feel exposed. And you don't want to feel exposed. So think about how else does your relationship with money show up in different areas of your life? Because money is kind of like food in the way that often the symptoms will show up in our relationship with money or our relationship with food, but it's never actually about the money. It's never actually about the food. It's something beneath it. It's like when we are holding ourselves back from joining the program or, doing the experience that we really, really want to do. It's never actually about the money. It's always something deeper. It's always something about worthiness or, not feeling safe to be seen or self-sabotage or not feeling deserving of doing this experience or being judged or somebody rejecting you, somebody, shaming you for doing this and somebody thinking that you're weird. It's always about that. It's never actually about the money, but it shows up in the money. We will give ourselves the excuses through the avenue of money. And sometimes we do this just because it literally makes more logical sense to kind of like blame money than something that we don't fully understand that's happening internally inside of ourselves. So even this can happen in business, right? You've got to have a good relationship a good relationship with money for your business. So how do you feel about career and success? When things get hard, do you just quit? Are you desperately trying to like sign clients and then you're being really smothering about it because you're anxiously attached to money and you're holding on to it? Just remember that everything is neutral. You're the one adding the meaning. So we make up the story. Money is actually a very neutral energy and you're adding the meaning to it. So instead of just thinking positively, can you actually declare to yourself how you are going to show up as the version of yourself that has tons of money in the bank? How does she make decisions or how does he make decisions? How does he move through his day? When we let money control us, we are constantly draining our energy. These negative thoughts and stories in our head are literally taking up so much space. And I'm telling you right now, they are not living rent free. So thinking about how you're behaving with money now, what are you afraid of? What are you worried, concerned, and fearful of in regards to having more money? Now, once you've got them, you might want to pause this and kind of write these things down. I'll come back to this episode. Now, thinking of each of them, can you challenge them? If that fear actually came true, could you survive? Could you bounce back and be okay? Most likely, yes. So get over the worrying and start changing your story, your actions, and getting wealthy. And not just getting wealthy in money, but in love and sex and health, because all of those things correlate to your relationship with money. But just understand this. Even if your fear is, if I have lots of money, all my friends are going to reject me, people are going to hate me, and I'm going to be left alone. Even if that happened, right? So if your worst fear actually came true, would you survive? Yes. Would you be able to bounce back and be okay? Yes, because if all those people rejected you and shamed you and judged you and left you, you'd find new friends because there's plenty of rich people in the world that have friends, right? And the chance that happening is actually very slim. It's like you're making up that story to keep yourself in your comfort zone, to keep yourself protected. So fine, okay, if that's going to be the story, will you be okay even if that happens? Yes, great. So go fucking do it. That knowing that I'm going to be okay no matter what, that provides that sense of safety that your ego needs to let you just do the hard thing of breaking through that glass ceiling. Because you have to practice right now getting out of your comfort zone. I've talked about comfort zones and that being your safe space a lot. And it can feel very hard to get out of, especially when you're stuck in a trauma response. The episodes that are really good to listen to on comfort zones, we'll put those below. So start changing the way that you talk to yourself and think. Like I spoke about in a recent podcast episode, can you dom yourself into what you know you want to do rather than always being submissive to your thoughts? Can you be so committed to what you want that even when fear creeps in, you will trust your intuition, even when it doesn't make logical sense? So, let me give you guys another interesting concept, especially when you're trying to be logical with your spending around money. This is the difference between a feminine investment and a masculine investment. So it can be helpful to think when you're spending money on yourself that there is like a feminine investment and there's a masculine investment. So masculine investments are like things you're really thinking about logically. Is this smart financially? What's the return on investment like of the stock or the shares or whatever it is? And it's much more of a head dominant choice. You're really analyzing, you're really thinking about the investment that you're putting in and the ROI and the impact that it's going to have in return. More of like the data side. There's more of those like finite values of what it's going to give you. Then you have the feminine investment. And the feminine investment doesn't always make sense. It's not this logical thing where you've got data and numbers that you can just pull from, like as this answer. The feminine investment is just what feels right. The feminine investment isn't because it makes logical sense so that you're making these like smart financial choices or that you're planning for the future. That's the masculine. Beautiful. We need that. Those masculine investments are really, really essential. The feminine is because I deserve it, because I want it, because I love to adorn myself in beautiful things, because I want happiness, because I want safety, I want pleasure, I want sensuality. That's the feminine investments, right? So both are important. Both are very important, but one isn't better than the other. And I like to sometimes think of investments like this, feminine or masculine, so that I'm not making all investments equal, as they're not. I find it helpful to balance my feminine and masculine energy internally. So I need to also externally do that with how I'm spending my hard earned resources. I want to make my feminine side happy just as much as my masculine side. I want to make sure that I am adorning myself in those beautiful feminine investments. So I'm not starting to hate making money because it's all going towards masculine things that like aren't fun. I want to go on trips. I want to travel. I want to buy pretty dresses. Those things fuel my creativity and make me want to make more money because they bring me happiness. Investing in stocks, like I don't understand it. So I don't really care as much. Do I want to do it? Yes. Like I love investing in the masculine things. But if I was solely investing in the masculine things, that could diminish the joy that I get from also making money, from showing up in my business, from being this open, you know, energy towards money. It could cause me to start to close off and get some resentment around the money that I'm making because it's not bringing me joy in the way that my feminine wants joy. It's bringing me joy to my masculine, cool, but that's not as important because I'm a woman. I want to also bring joy to my feminine side. Remember, we need the masculine for the safety of the feminine. So we need those masculine investments for safety as well. That's super important. We don't only want to be investing in feminine things, but it's sometimes helpful to just remember that those feminine investments, they don't need to be logical. They don't need to make sense. They just feel right. And that's enough. You don't have to have some big, logical reason why you want to invest in something or spend money on something. Sometimes it's just, it feels right or it make me happy or I don't know, I just want to. And that's kind of like fun for your inner child as well. Like, why do kids want toys? Like, I don't know, they just want this fucking toy, but it makes them happy and that brings joy to them. Why diminish the possibility of money bringing joy into your life? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are on the beginning phases of your journey of healing your relationship with money, I would highly recommend that you join Magic Money Manifestation Level 1. That is going to be the best beginning place for you. If you are further into your relationship with money, then I've got two options for you. One, we are covering wealth consciousness and manifestation in Her. And it's more like, okay, you understand manifestation. Like you have to know the basics of all of that because what we're really doing in Her is making manifestation and wealth frequency super easy and really that next level of it. Okay. It's more of the next level version. The other option for you is Magic Money and Manifestation Level 2, which is going to be opening around August, September time. And you can still go to the website and pop your name on the wait list. You get an email when that goes out. So if you are considering doing her, but you are unsure, whether you want to do her or MMM2, if you need to pick between the two, please feel free to send us an email. The beauty of obviously doing her is that we have the other topics as well. If you haven't read about the program, I would just go to the website page firstly before you send us an email, and please read about it. So we're not answering questions that are on the website page. And we do have a pretty lengthy FAQ section as well. So that should also be really helpful for you guys too. But yeah, any other questions, feel free to just send an email. I would highly recommend that you go back and re-listen to this episode because I gave you guys lots of prompts and questions, and I would love for you to just refer back to them and actually take the time to write them down and to journal on them, to reflect on them, etc. That way you know that you've gotten the most out of this podcast episode because I did make it kind of interactive. All right. So I'm going to love you and leave you all. I will see you guys in the next episode, and I really hope that you loved this one.